Hello and welcome. I call this June 21st, 2022 virtual administrative meeting of the Bernalillo County Commissioners to order. Commissioner Piscotti is excused from tonight's meeting. We will have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by myself. Okay, I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam County Manager, are there any changes or additions to the agenda this evening?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, good evening. Good to see everybody. We have one change, and that's item 3A, Metropolitan Detention Center. McClendon proposed stipulated staffing order to be added to the agenda as item 12F under approvals, and a vote is required for the change that I just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager. I move to approve item 3A to be moved to approvals as 12F. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Benson. Vice Chair Benson, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Or raise your hand. Any discussion? Any opposition? Oh, I think we need to do roll call. Huh? Sorry. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. I'm sorry. Thank you. Not used to Zoom anymore. Madam Clerk, you're on mute.
Sorry. All righty. Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Commissioner Casada.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Madam Chair Piscotti. I mean Barboa, sorry.
Aye. No worries.
So called.
Thank you. That motion's approved. Move to item 4, proclamations. And we have an acknowledgement of Carol Chapman presented by Commissioner Quesada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my honor tonight to read this acknowledgement from the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners for Carol Chapman. Carol Chapman, acknowledging Carol Chapman is a descendant of the Juliana Gutierrez and James L. Santiago Hubble, merchants, traders, and original owners of the Gutierrez Hubble House in Bernalillo County, South Valley. And acknowledging Carol began volunteering at the Gutierrez Hubble House as part of the group of community members who wanted to preserve that 1860s adobe home. And acknowledging Carol has been dedicated volunteer at the Gutierrez Hubble House and Cultural Center for more than 22 years, where she cleaned bathrooms, swept portals, cleaned rain gutters, and put up exhibits and holiday decorations. Nothing was ever too menial of a task for her. And acknowledging Carol has donated thousands of hours as a museum docent and served as a board member and officer of the Gutierrez Hubble House Alliance, a nonprofit committed to supporting the Gutierrez Hubble House. And acknowledging as a history-loving volunteer, Carol has been a true friend and contributor in transforming the Gutierrez Hubble House into a gem on the National Registry of Historic Places, making the open space a community gathering place, an education center in Bernalillo County. And acknowledging Bernalillo County and the Gutierrez Hubble House will forever be indebted to the selfless devotion of Carol Chapman. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners recognizes Carol Chapman and conveys its sincere gratitude and appreciation for her volunteer work at the Gutierrez Hubble House, done this 21st day of June 2022 in Bernalillo County State of New Mexico, presented and signed by all the county commissioners. I think and I believe we have someone here to speak also on behalf of Carol. Is there someone there?
I do see Carol Chapman in the room. Miss Carol Chapman?
Is Carol there? Okay, my internet's a little, oh, okay, there she is. Carol, please say a few words.
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if Carol's here yet.
Oh.
I'm Beth. I'm the Gutierrez Whole House site manager. And I'm not sure if Carol made it on. I know she was trying to get on. But we will just say Carol has been an amazing contributor. We have so many volunteers who do so much, but Carol is really an unforgettable and essential piece of the Gutierrez Whole House, the Alliance, and of so many visitors have spent time hearing family stories with Carol, and we really appreciate her, and it's great to see her recognized in all of her wonderful work. So thank you.
Awesome. If you could convey to her how much we truly appreciate her. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruzada, for that important recognition and acknowledgement. I myself, my family grew up right around the corner on Pajarito Road, right there by the Gutierrez Whole House. So I'm so glad that it's been preserved and is a beautiful space in our community. Thank you to Miss Carol Chapman. And next I have a wonderful proclamation, an acknowledgement of Chief Greg Richardson. I hope he is here. I'm gonna read this acknowledgement. I've gotten in my short time here in commission, got to spend some good time with Chief Richardson, know him to be such a man of integrity, and I'm excited to do this acknowledgement. So the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge Metropolitan Detention Center Chief Greg Richardson. Acknowledging that Greg Richardson came to MDC in 2017 as a deputy chief in an administrative capacity overseeing use of force, early warning systems, training and recruiting, and assumed the duties of chief of Metropolitan Detention Center in May 2020. And acknowledging that Chief Richardson is an integral part of the county's forward progress in complying with the McClendon Agreement. As Deputy Chief, Richardson participated in the Use of Force Review Panel, a committee that reviews all use of force incidences at the facility. The panel played a key role in implementing the use of force policy negotiated as part of the McClendon settlement. And acknowledging that Chief Richardson helped change the culture regarding use of force at MDC through his work on the panel and his work as chief. MDC is now compliant with nearly all of the McClendon requirements regarding use of force, and under his leadership, MDC achieved compliance with nearly all McClendon provisions regarding internal investigations. And acknowledging that during the COVID-19 pandemic, Chief Richardson led the effort to keep COVID under control within the facility by testing inmates and employees coming into the facility, creating isolation pods where inmates were quarantined for 10 days upon admission, and isolating those infected in medical isolation pods. And acknowledging those efforts led to MDC being a national model for detention facilities across the country dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And acknowledging that Chief Richardson has served as chief during one of the most difficult times at the facility in light of the pandemic and the resulting staffing crisis. Chief Richardson and his administration have worked closely with the court-appointed expert to develop and implement creative solutions to ensure the safety of staff and inmates. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bernalillo County Manager and Board of County Commissioners thank Chief Richardson for his dedicated service, congratulate him on his retirement from the Metropolitan Detention Center, and wish him well on all his future endeavors. Done this 21st day of June 2022 in Bernalillo County, state of New Mexico, signed by all the Board of Commissioners. I want to definitely take time to please acknowledge, put your hands together for Chief Richardson, his work. He stayed tried and true through this time and faced with all the challenges that you can only imagine in the middle of this pandemic. We can all only imagine, right? Those of us that aren't working, and thankful to him and his staff for the work they've done during this time. Is Chief Richardson available? No pressure.
Madam Chair, I do not see him on.
Okay, well, I hope he knows that we appreciate and acknowledge his hard work and dedication, and only wish him well on his retirement. Hopefully it means good time and joy for him and his family. Yes, County Manager Baca.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I just wanted to take a moment just to kind of put in my 2 cents here. I wanted to just sort of acknowledge his dedication. I really feel like he has served the county and the Metropolitan Detention Center with distinction. He's done an awesome job, and so very communicative. I always knew what was going on. He always asked for help. He has been such a huge supporter of the staff that works there, and I think one of his greatest accomplishments was the amazing relationship, the really good relationship he's cultivated with the union. They're real important to us. They're the foundation, as you all know, of the MDC. They work very hard, and he has totally acknowledged and appreciated the hard work that they do. So I just, on a personal note, I just want to say that I really appreciate working with him. He's been with the county approximately 5 years, 3 as a deputy chief, 2 as our chief. And we also have an award for him that we're going to be presenting him when we see him. And it just basically says, with our greatest appreciation, we hereby recognize Chief Greg Richardson in recognition for your leadership, dedication, and service to the Bernalillo County Metropolitan Detention Center, dated June 2022, presented by all the commissioners and myself. And again, I just want to thank him for his great work at the MDC. He's been a great chief. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you, County Manager. Any other? Okay, thank you. We'll move on. And now we have item number 5, certificate and awards. We have County Manager recognition of the New Mexico wildfire volunteers. County Manager to present.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go ahead and hand that over. I believe, Tia, you have the names of the individuals that will be recognizing, and this is the individuals that worked so hard from the county that went up north to support the people that were devastated by the horrible fires there. They traveled there, they spent the night. There were people from our Parks and Recreation Department. There were also people from our animal care, our emergency operations center, our fire and rescue. I cannot thank them enough, and I'm hoping that there's somebody in the meeting that has the name of the people that we will be acknowledging.
I can speak up to address that.
Thank you, Tia.
Thank you, Tia.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam County Manager. I don't have all the names in front of me. There are 43 people, however. And the plan was, before we needed to conduct our meeting via Zoom, the plan was to have all the directors of those folks come forward and give the names of their individual employees and present them with the certificates. So we have all the certificates ready, and what we'll do is pass those off to the directors, and then they can personally give the certificate to 43 people at least. Employees from Bernalillo County who supported the fire efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Tia. So just an appreciation to the staff. that took their time, their weekends, their evenings, that they dedicated to assisting these people that were devastated by the fire. So it's amazing the work that Bernalillo County employees do. So just wanted to acknowledge it, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Thank you. So important. Thank you
It
for
is.
that recognition.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize I was on. I was like saying, yeah. You know, sorry, Madam Chair. I think there was a list of the folks that are in the agenda packet. I don't know. It would probably be a good idea just to read off that list of the folks, and that way it's on the public meeting. Do you see it on your agenda?
I don't have it on my agenda, but
Oh, you
Madam-
don't?
Madam Chair, I do have the item up if you'd like me just to read through the names.
that would be wonderful. Thank you, Julianne.
So
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Alejandro Coriz, Andre Dixon, Andrea Castillo, Angelia Jaramillo, Art Martinez, Ben Silva, Branda McDonald, Bruce Lambert, Chris Pacheco, Christine Waldrop, Christopher Counts, Danny Valenzuela, David Barnes, David Stoffer, David Gonzalez, Dayton Garcia, Diane Lucero, Fabian Duarte, Isaac Price, Jeremy Gonzalez, Joaquin Ortiz, John Keel, John Villalpando, Joseph Vigil, Kurt Silva, Luke Forrest, Mark McConnell, Megan Rose, Melanie Zabrano, Michael Benton, Misha Goodman, Nathan Robinson, Norman Rance, Omar Leba Sabag, Pat Trujillo, Richard Clark, Ronald Gallegos, Serafino Vigil, Steve Benavides, Tim Olivas, Tobias Lucero, Tom Walmsley, and lastly but not least, Christopher Mays.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Commissioner O'Malley, for getting us to name them. I think we have to celebrate and name every individual who's putting their time out there. We want to do it and really recognize people by name. So thank you for that. Any other, all right, we're moving on to public comment. Julianne Baca, is there anybody, I believe we have folks signed up for public comment.
Madam Chair, we have 10 signed up this evening.
Okay, I'll give some instructions to folks giving public comment. You'll have 90 seconds to share your comments. You'll then be notified when your time is up. You'll then be muted and moved to the waiting room. Should any of the commissioners have follow-up questions to your comments, you will have an opportunity to answer. Who is first for public comment?
Okay, so first I have Mr. Robert Mason.
Mr. Mason, welcome.
Hi, do I just start talking?
You
Yes.
can go ahead.
Oh, I apologize.
You're good.
Hi, my name is Robert Mason. I'm a sergeant at the jail MDC. My name should sound familiar. I sent emails to my leadership and to you all like pleading for help with no response. I'm here to tell you it's only gotten worse. I'm coming to you all today because I'm out of options. In the email I sent you all last year, I said people can die. People have died. We've lost 16 lives. Someone was murdered. The pandemic isn't to blame for our staffing issues. The fact is we were already losing staff at greater numbers than we were able to replace, and this was before the pandemic. Many of us raised these concerns back then. We no longer can provide a safe and secure environment. People are suffering to the level of cruel and unusual punishment. People who are at high risk of dying due to detox or risk of suicide go without being watched. We don't have enough medical or mental health staff to provide treatment or follow-up care. We go without mental health staff to respond to crises. Many of the medical and mental health staff are being asked to do duties outside of the profession. Many of them left because they didn't want to jeopardize their license. I'm asking you, imagine being locked down for 4 or 5 days at a time, locked down without coming out, sharing a restroom with somebody else, no showers. Day after day, I get asked, are we going to be able to come out? Can we just get a 15-minute shower? Can we just make a quick phone call home to our loved ones? We don't have the staff to release people on time. The solution we have been presented with is work more. We don't have time to metabolize the stress from day-to-day trauma. We go home and just go right back to work. We
And
are
that's
working.
time.
We need y'all to act. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mason. We hear you and we are going, there is an item later on our agenda that I hope I addresses some of your concerns. And I want you to know that we hear you and see and know the hard work you are putting and so many staff are putting every day there. And thank you for your comments. Next, public comment.
Santiago Maestas. Your time
Madam
starts now.
Chairman, Santiago Maestas, on behalf of the South Valley Regional Association of Assessors. I want to take this opportunity to thank you and Commissioners O'Malley and Biscotti for your appointments to the County Planning Commission. As you know, they recently recommended a denial to the changes to the Santolina plan. This is for the benefit of our community. I would also like to thank those members of the commission, Angelica Solares, Connie Chavez, and Joelle Herzl, especially Joelle Herzl for making the motion, and Solares for seconding.
I'm unmuted, be quiet.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on.
Am I through?
No, Mr. Santiago, you still have 15 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, I'd also like to take this opportunity to invite you to the Gutierrez Hubble House. We are currently sponsoring an exhibit on Nuestras Acequias through July 22nd. Please join us and get to see our beautiful community and open space. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Santiago Maestas, so much for your words. Thank you for your public comment today. Next for public comment. Julianne, you're on mute if you're talking.
Hello,
Yes, Miss Jessie Black.
that would be me. I want to let you know that I've been a resident of Albuquerque since 1973, and I've lived in my home in the South Valley since 1985. And my neighbors, when I moved in, it was not the greatest neighborhood, but we have all worked very hard to improve our properties and our homes, and our neighborhood has come up in the world. But we are noticing an increase all through the city and in the county, unincorporated county, of tent people, itinerant folks. And I don't want you to think that I'm heartless, but these folks bring crime, they bring drugs, they do not have sanitary conditions to live under, so there's no showers, there's no toilets. They occupy public parks, and they make those areas unsuitable for the original purpose they were intended. My goal here is to twofold. I would like you all to get creative in figuring out some solutions to this problem that involve moving these people away from our homes and parks and into some place where they have a chance to improve their lives. I'm not heartless. I just want us all to be safe, and that includes them. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is I want you to keep them out of the park. So work on solutions to help
That's
these.
time.
Am I done? Okay.
Thank you, Miss Black, for expressing your concerns. Appreciate your comment and being engaged. Next.
Bennett Bauer.
Hello, Madam Chair, members Members of the committee, my name is Bennett Bauer. I'm the Chief Public Defender for the state of New Mexico. I'm here to talk to you briefly about the situation at the Metropolitan Detention Center. I think you're all fairly familiar with it, but I just wanted to add my voice to the conversation here. Last week, I made the difficult decision to instruct our attorneys and staff not to visit clients in the detention center because of concerns about their safety while they're there. It's a hard decision. Public defenders want to see their clients, but we are so concerned about the situation that we had to make that step. We're in an unprecedented situation, and I see it as sort of a slow motion humanitarian crisis. I want to tell you that Ms. Morgus Baca, the county attorney, Mr. Martinez, people I know are working this very hard. Again, this is an unprecedented situation. I don't think anybody would have foreseen 2 years ago. Ultimately, as a community, we need to ensure that MDC only holds as many persons as it can ethically and humanely hold. And because of the staffing situation, many fewer than were contemplated under the McClendon agreement. So I think we have to do things relatively quickly. Public Defender's Office stands ready to work with you and everyone else on the situation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett Bauer. I appreciate that. And thank you again.
Mr. Tomas Trujillo.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Hi.
I wanted to thank you for letting me speak on the community workforce agreement. We're looking at, my name is Tomas Trujillo. I apologize. My name is Tomas Trujillo with IBW 611. One of the things that we're really looking forward to is the opportunity for apprenticeship training. You know, that's something that we hold dear. Continuing education, assessments. This is something that we also do. It's something that we want to ensure that anybody that's working at a journeyman classification is qualified to work at that classification. Because a lot of times undertrained and unlicensed employees working as journeymen, it can lead to faulty installations, which can be cost overruns, and hopefully that's all that happens. We want to thank you for bringing this up and putting it on the agenda, and we'd like to show our strong support for this community workforce agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tomas Trujillo. We will be addressing that item later on the agenda. Other public comments?
Mr. Brian Condit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Condit here, Executive Director of the New Mexico Building Trades Council. We represent 15 construction craft unions throughout the state of New Mexico. I myself am a 50-year member of the IBEW. We'd like to request that the commission consider and provide their approval for the utilization of the community workforce agreement on fire station number 737, agenda item number 12C. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brian Condit.
Mr. Matthew Gonzalez.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you very much for allowing us to speak on behalf of the community workforce agreements. We know community workforce agreements work when they're implemented. This creates pathways for apprenticeship, especially for keeping our youngsters here at home. It creates the pathway where there's somebody who actually work in their communities and keep them here. And training is so important now. We have no time to waste on this. Your help is so greatly appreciated, just even hearing this. And so we can show you in true lifetime that they work and have given the opportunity. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew Gonzalez.
Mr. Daryl DeGhetto.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Daryl Diawero, and I serve as the president of the Laborers Union, Local 16. We represent laborers in the construction industry across the state of New Mexico and West Texas and the Navajo Nation. And we fully support the utilization of the community workforce agreements for construction. Like folks previously stated, this is about really ensuring that people that are working on these projects have a good livable wage and solid benefits, and also helps put apprentices on these projects. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Darrell de Aguero.
And lastly, Jenny Colbert.
Hello, my name is Jenny Culver. I'm a retired emergency physician. I served on the front lines of community healthcare here in the emergency department for 38 years, raised 2 children who are raising my 2 grandchildren here. And I am very concerned about the state of our community and am hoping that we can build better relationships with our commissioners to work together to turn this ship around. There's an obvious lack of trust by the public in the governing bodies. And one example, but there are many, is election integrity. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, just to say I hope that we can work together in the future to pursue what is true and to pursue transparency. Also, it doesn't seem reasonable to me that this meeting is a Zoom meeting if the excuse is COVID numbers when the mayor is holding a large in-person State of the City event later on this week. So I'm just hoping that in August we will be having in-person meetings. I hope that is your intention. I do see a proposal on tonight's agenda for the allocation of our county's funds in the amount of $500,000 to serve homeless families
And
in
that's
the
time.
renovation of a center. I am opposed to that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Culver.
Madam Chair, that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Julianne. And so we will move on to item number 7. And we have an appointment to the Joint Air Quality Control Board. Sponsor is Commissioner Quesada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Give me 1 second to get to my paperwork. So Dr. Lewis is who I am putting forward to serve on the Air Quality Control Board. I believe you all had an opportunity to look at her very extensive resume and experience. And I think we got it out to you all in plenty of time for you to take a look at, how that was. It's about 15 pages. I mean, it speaks for itself. Her bio is impressive, and it is definitely dealing with what they have to deal with. As you all know, the Mountain View area in my district, I think deals with probably some of the most extreme air quality control situations. As you know, I've spoke many times on how I'm trying to change the development and change the direction of just that neighborhood alone. But I think overall, we need to have people who have that huge of experience to look at not just individual EPA, but how it affects everybody in a whole mass, right? With all of them. And we need to really start looking at how we, approve things and who we approve by looking at the overall picture, not just the one individual. She brings that kind of experience to the table. She understands it in a big way. And so with that being said, Madam Chair, I would like to move for approval for Dr. Lewis.
I'll second that one. Exciting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. You're on mute, Madam Clerk. Maybe she's having, I can call the roll.
See,
Commissioner O'Malley,
yes.
Commissioner Quesada, Vice Chair
Aye.
Benson, oh, aye, Vice Chair Benson,
Yes.
and I think you have a motion. Hopefully, Madam Clerk will be back with us in a minute. So that passed unanimously. Thank you. Excited that for Dr. Johnny Lewis's representation on that important board. Thank you, Commissioner Quesada. So moving to item 8A, approval of the minutes. I move to approve the May 24th, 2022 administrative meeting minutes. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benson. All in favor, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I apologize. I keep popping on and off here.
No
All right.
worries.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Vice Chair Piscotti, and Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa, I'm all confused.
Aye. Aye, you got
Roll
it.
call. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes passed. Approval of the consent agenda. Madam Clerk. Oh wait, did I skip something? No. The minutes. Okay, yes. Approval of consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please provide resolution numbers for items 9D, 9F, 9I, and 9P.
All righty. 9D, number 1 is FR 2022-60. 9D2 is FR 2022-61. 9D3 is FR 2022-62. 9D4 is FR 2022-63. 9D5 is FR 2022-64. 9D6 is FR 2022-65.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move to approve the.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Madam Clerk, do you want to move on to the rest of the
wanna do
items
F?
on consent? Yes.
Okay. F number 3 is FR 2022-66.
And then next is I and then P.
Okay, I is AR 2022-67. And P is FR 2022-68.
Thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll second your motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
All righty. Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Adrian, aye. I was gonna say Adrian.
So called.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's consent agenda is approved. Moving to item 9A, ABC Community Schools. This is the fiscal year intergovernmental agreement with Albuquerque Public Schools supporting
Madam
community-
Chair,
Yes.
sorry, we just approved that under consent, so now we are on 10A.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for the, I should guess I'm not, I was gonna go through all the names. So, community schools, you have your, you were approved in the consent agenda. Moving on to item 10, adoption of ordinance amendment. Madam Clerk, you already gave, please give the ordinance number for items 10B and 10D.
Yes, ma'am. 10B is ordinance 2022-9. 10D as in David is ordinance 2022-10.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I wanted to ask for item 10A. I was the sponsor for the Employee Wellness Act motion to repeal. We want to defer that to our August meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. All in favor to defer to August, please, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Aye, thank you. That will be deferred. Now we're moving to item 10B. Commissioners Racing on Streets Drag Racing, Ken Martinez to present ordinance 2022-9.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and especially thank you, Commissioner Casada. Thank you for allowing us to work on this with you and for being able to pivot and add more items as we learn more and more about this very important issue. You'll recall Commissioner Casada, it was brought to his attention we had that unfortunate death, and it's just been horrible. I want to thank BCSO, who has then intervened and gone to some of these events, and Commissioner Casada has learned about what's happening, and as a result of that, we've added to this proposed legislation. It started out to prohibit racing, then it added prohibit spectating, because there's actually an event where they encircled the racers and wouldn't even let the law enforcement officials inside the circle. And then the next happening was they weren't racing, but they're exhibiting power, right, by doing donuts and stuff, and once again not allowing law enforcement in to kind of break up this dangerous activity. So it now has a prohibition and definitions as to racing, as to spectating, and as to exhibiting power or reckless driving type of events like donuts and other issues. With that, I can defer to Commissioner Casada if he wants to add to that, but that's what we would be working on tonight. And it's been published and it's open for an open meeting under the ordinance rules.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, Madam Chair. And I also want to thank Commissioner Benson. He pushed us to look deeper. He thinks we needed more, and we found it, I think. So I want to thank him personally for getting involved and speaking up when we had discussions on it. And so I'm hoping that you're pleased that we got a little deeper in there, Commissioner. Like I always say, this is written on paper. And if we find down the road that we need to bring it back in the future, make it stronger, depending on what we can do legally, we could continue to do that. So with that being said, I think we're in a pretty good place, a good starting place. So I'm definitely gonna, and thank you, Mr. Martinez, for your hard work and your staff for getting involved in this with me, and I really appreciate it. And with that being said, I really would like to move for approval.
I second that, Madam Chair. May I have the floor?
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair Benson, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Casada, thank you. I just want to, as I second this, I want to thank you for your effort in this. And I know this is a heartfelt labor of love for you. And yeah, thank you for taking my considerations into consideration, or my perspective into consideration also. My concern with this was that it wouldn't have deep enough teeth. And I just feel that, the people that are safe are the criminals, and the people that are, abiding by the law are not safe. Such was the case of the death of that little boy, holding the hand of his parents, walking the streets. And so we're in an effort to make sure that we're being, fair and inclusive. The bad guys are taking advantage of us, and they're taking advantage of our kindness and leniency. And so that's what I wanted to make sure this wasn't doing. And Commissioner Quesada, it looks like you've started doing it, and I appreciate it. Thank you for your work. And Mr. Martinez, thank you for your work on this too. And it's a good first step.
It sounds like we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson,
Yes, and well done.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Aye.
So called.
Thank you, Clerk. Madam Clerk, we have a due pass. Thank you both for working and making this important step to hopefully safer streets for our communities.
Madam
Next,
Chair, sorry,
yes.
just for the record, on convening a public hearing for this item, we did not have anybody signed up to speak.
Thank you. No one signed up to speak. Okay, great. The next we have County Manager, Bernalillo County Charter Amendments Introduction.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So on January 1st of 2017, the Bernalillo County Charter was made effective. So it establishes Bernalillo County as an urban county, allowing for the home rule status. So it strengthens local control and facilitating flexibility and diversity in addressing local needs. So my team and I wanted to kind of look at it and revisit it. So we reviewed the charter and we're recommending some minor changes with the assistance of our county attorney. And I want to thank him for his help. So in a nutshell, there's some amendments to add the county manager, the opportunity to retain counsel to assist with like the duties in this office, and also the county manager and the county in collaboration with the county attorney will hire counsel, outside counsel to represent the other party to the conflict if a conflict concerns official public business of the county. So county attorney and I will be working together. And so it's just kind of a balancing act. And then just one more is an amendment adding our deputy county managers for sponsoring legislative items. They were not included in that. And so I wanted to go ahead and put that in there. But again, I want to thank the county attorney, Mara. I want to thank you also for helping us with this. I didn't realize it was an ordinance that needed to come in front of the commission. So with your help, I really appreciate that. And that's basically in a nutshell what it is, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager. Any discussion? Yeah, I move to approve the Bernalillo County Charter Amendments Introduction. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley. Commissioner Quesada.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson.
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Aye.
So called.
Thank you. Moving on to item 10D, adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance and the sale of Bernalillo County, Mexico taxable general obligation bonds. Shirley Reagan or staff to present.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Denise Benavides. I'm the Principal Financial Management Analyst for the Finance Division. The Finance Division is recommending the adoption of the ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of the Bernalillo County, New Mexico taxable general obligation bond series 2022 in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6,075,000. The proceeds from the sale will be used for roads, the library, and public housing, with the exception of $1 million from the public housing bonds, which will be used to reimburse the general fund as required by the reimbursement resolution AR 2021-45, which was approved by the Commission on April 6, 2021, to provide funding for the City of Albuquerque's Gateway Center homeless facility. Further analysis, property tax revenue projections are adequate to fund the sale with no increase to our bond debt service rate. Interest rates on the bonds will be negotiated with the state treasurers via a short-term note, and the Finance Division will report back to the Commission with the final rates in August. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Denise Benavides. We will now, well, first I want to ask the Commission if they have any comments, questions. Okay, we can now hold a public hearing. Julianne, did anyone sign up to speak on this item 10D?
There was no signups for this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Julianne. I move to adopt ordinance 2022-10 authorizing the issuance and sale of Bernalillo County, New Mexico taxable bonds. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Quesada. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
You having trouble with my mute button. Yes.
Commissioner Casada,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Aye.
So called.
Thank you. Motion does pass. Ms. Benavides, thank you for your time. Items 11A. Madam Clerk, please issue a resolution number for 11A.
Yes, ma'am. 11-3A3 is FR 2022-69.
Thank you. This is an agreement with the city of Albuquerque for a homeless facility for families. I'll present the motion and allow room for discussion. I move to approve a one-time allocation of $500,000 from the general fund to support City of Albuquerque's renovation of a facility to serve homeless families in my district. I authorize motion to authorize the county manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Albuquerque for the transfer of $500,000 for the facility renovation. And I asked to move to approve financial resolution FR 2022-69, budgeting $500,000 from fiscal year 23 general fund balance.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. Yes, Vice Chair Benson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we discuss this item now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, this money would be given to the city of Albuquerque for the purpose of family promise, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I spoke with Esther Griego. I'm not sure how many of the rest of you spoke with her. Very, very nice lady. I liked her a lot. I also got many coordinated emails from volunteers associated with this. So I like what Family Promise is doing, but what I don't like about this gift of $500,000 is the giving it to City of Albuquerque. We've got a lot of problems here in the county. Well, I don't know exactly where to start. So let's start with NDC. There's a state of emergency right now. We heard public comment. We've seen emails ourselves. We read about it in the newspaper. There's a severe staffing shortage, and yet, the homeless issue has still taken the priority over that. We've got first responders that are drowning. We've got the MDC Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department. We need to take care of them, but it's taken second fiddle again to homelessness. And I praise Family Promise, but Esther told me that they were promised $1 million from the city. So I can't in good faith say that the Bernalillo County should be giving more money to the city to manage homelessness. They're not doing a good job as it is. Now we're already giving the city millions of dollars for the Gateway Center. That's a disaster. They're not managing the tent cities. They're speaking multiple things all at the same time. Councillor Bassan recently supported sanctioned tent cities. Then she pulled it back because she heard from the community at large, which adamantly opposed it. Meanwhile, the mayor is saying, oh no, there's nothing we can do to prevent tent cities, no matter what parts of town they are in. So I don't trust giving our funds from our budget to the city. That's my issue with it. Actually, what we should ask the city for is money to help us. When I don't know, Madam County Manager, can you tell me when the last time, because I know the city asks us for a lot of money. When was the last time the city gave us funds to help with homelessness or crime or MDC? Can you answer that?
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, I can look. I know that indirectly they do provide support. I know that we work together on our behavioral health initiatives with the city. I know that, you know, we're doing some joint efforts along with the state. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have like amounts, any specific amounts. So as far as like money that the city has transferred to the county for homelessness or behavioral health, you know, off the top of my head, and I'm sorry, I maybe if there's somebody else that can help me out here, Margarita, Greg, any of you that have any indication of some funding that the city possibly helped us out with the county. I know that for Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, they recently gave us like $66,000 to help out with some operating expenses. That I do know, and we're working together on the Route 66 center on the west side, and we're working collaboratively on that, and it is the intention of the city to help us with some operating costs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I apologize, Ms. County Manager, for putting you on a spot. And please feel free to give me that information later too. I'm just not aware of it. And as far as I'm concerned, they're poor stewards of their own resources, and they keep asking for resources from us to be further poor stewards. The homelessness problem is getting worse with the types of solutions they're coming up with. And so we've got big issues here. MDC is a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And I can't in good conscience vote in favor of giving money that, you know, that we have to be responsible for to a nonprofit. The other thing is, here's another issue. Family Promise sounds like a great organization. It's a national organization, and I know a lot of nonprofits who could use $500,000. And so this doesn't feel like a very competitive process. It feels like kind of a political gift through the government more than anything. And yeah, I don't think they'll spend it well. Family Promise might, but the city has plenty of money that they've already promised it, and then they come asking for us. So if we're going to give away $500,000 to a nonprofit, I'd like to open it up for RFP for other nonprofits that also try to support the homeless population. But yeah, that's my.
Thank you, Vice Chair
Thank you.
Benson. I did want to I see Commissioner O'Malley's hand up, but I just did want to clarify to part of your comment that I'm the sponsor for this, and I met with Family Promise. I also asked them to reach out to you because I did think that you would like their model. And the agreement was not a request from the city. It was a request from me when we met with them, myself and Councilor Tammy Feeblecorn and Commissioner O'Malley. They invited us to see the building that they've purchased and now need to renovate that can hold a large number of families. Their commitment to and they do sort of full wraparound. In fact, part of the question is how much can they serve when they're doing so much intense work with, and so they don't serve the masses, they don't have thousands coming through, but they do really serve and follow through with families, including grandparents and raising grandchildren that maybe are homeless right now. So all the ways we think about homelessness and folks, families needing to survive through that process, and they both help them get them resourced up. So I just wanted to clear up, and then I'm sorry, I'll let Commissioner O'Malley speak, but just clear up that it wasn't a request that came from the city. It was actually Councilor Feeblecorn and us in the room together saying, hey, I can work to get 500 and we'll work to try and get 500 to make it a match so that they can complete this building. They're ready to serve. But the other thing I'll say is that what I like about this project is it's not asking for us to run the program, and it's not asking for recurring programmatic dollars, which are often problematic, right? We shouldn't be in the business. Like, experts should lead some of those programs. So that was the one thing I liked about it. Really, well, I love the services they offer, but this was to get a project done that's ready. We know the housing crisis. So once they get this done, it's ready to house people. So that was, so I just wanted to clear up a few of those things to make sure it wasn't, it didn't look like the city was coming to us for money. We're actually sort of just met at the same place and said, let's both try this. Commissioner O'Malley, did you have, sorry if I took all your thunder. Just wanted to be clear.
No, you didn't. I was just saying that what's different about this, as you said, this is a one-time appropriation for fixing a building that they had acquired. It looks like the city is committing half of the 1 million. This would be the other half. And what I think is really important is it does serve families. That's one of the most difficult, groups of people, especially with children. We don't have a lot of places for families to go. And I was really impressed with their program. I think that they are very, to me, very careful with the funding. And they've, they have a lot of support within the community. They work with all the churches within the community. They've had a very good success rate for many, many years. I think that's a big plus. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about the resources, right? That we're talking about the city versus the county. Well, we talk about behavioral health, and the majority of the tax for behavioral health is paid by City of Albuquerque residents. I think it's important, though, that we do work together, and that if there's a gap, and we have the opportunity to match funds, I think that it's something we should do, and I think this is a very important project. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. Yes, Vice Chair Benson, and then Commissioner Quesada.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for clarifying that. Esther Griego told me that the money was promised to her from the city, and that we're to give the money to the city to do it. So is there a way for us to give the money directly to Family Promise as a one-time gift? Because my problem is that it goes over the city. They're not good at managing their resources, and they're not good at working with homeless. They're making the problem worse. Tent cities are growing. The police have to ignore violence, drug dealing, theft. They have to ignore it. That serves the drug dealers well. It serves the human traffickers well. It does not serve the neighborhoods well. It does not serve the city well. It doesn't serve the county residents well. Family Promise might be able to do it right. Family Promise is one of the organizations I was thinking of when I said maybe we should turn over the tiny home village to, because I'm not positive we can really solve the problem well. We've got money, and we can help organizations that do it well. But is there a way that we can not give it to the city? Because and Commissioner O'Malley, I love your idea that we should be working together, but they don't. I don't see it. I don't see them working with us. You may see examples of it. I don't. I see them asking for us to work with them a lot. And when we ask them to work with us, it's crickets. So, yeah, and they're horrible with helping the homeless situation. They call it humane to set up tent cities, and it's disgusting. It's dangerous. It's violent. They're better off in jail. And I know people don't want to hear that, but if they're going to be murdered or shot up with drugs or trafficked without supervision, and the city is calling that humane, it's disgusting. And the problem, and now they're coming to the city. They're flocking to the city because then they can do drugs without any ramifications. And the drug dealers love it, and the human traffickers, the pimps, love it. So, no, if the city would work with us, great, but I don't see evidence of it.
Thank you, Commissioner, Vice Chair Benson. Commissioner Quesada?
Thank you, Madam Chair, commissioners. I'm just going to have to say that Commissioner Benson makes many valid points, like he always does. But I have worked firsthand with Councilor Pena, and together we've teamed up and done a lot of really great things together. We put our resources together and done some great things. Some probably not on a big, huge scale, maybe some infrastructure things, things around the neighborhood, things that we've been advocating for a couple hundred years. That's where we're stuck. We're stuck trying to put sidewalks and lighting when the rest of the city has had it for years, and we're the oldest part of the city of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. But we've proven that it can happen. But he's right. I think that, something that I've been working with county manager, something that I've been trying to push forward is MDCs is a huge problem, and we're the only one paying into it. We can't put people in those tent cities in jail like Commissioner Benson would like to. We don't have room for them. We don't have the staff for them. So yeah, that does open up our city for drug dealers and for people to come here because we can't handle our own. We can't do our own. Those are all valid points that Commissioner Benson makes, that why is not the city of Albuquerque helping us with MDC? Why is Sandoval County not helping us with MDC? Why is not Belen, Los Lunas, Bosque Farms, Bernalillo? That's all those people are in our jail. And we're the only ones that are responsible for that, and that's wrong. And this is something I brought up my first year as commission, and county manager knows it was my first year. I said, we need this MDC to be a regional facility. Everybody's got to pay into this facility, and that way we can staff it, pay it, and do all the things that we need to do to keep our community safe and to keep our MDC workers safe, and we need the money to do it. And it's very obvious we, as a single government entity, does not have the money to do it. No, we fall short when it comes to MDC because she only has so much money to work with. And until we make the other communities within the area of MDC and Albuquerque responsible enough to help us solve this problem, we are not going to solve this problem on our own. It is not going to happen in Bernalillo County. It has to happen within the region. The region has to take responsibility for us to be able to enforce laws and be able to do the right thing for people who are breaking the law. We can't even do it right now. We don't have the room for them. We can't open pods. We can't let people take a shower. We can't let people take a shower right now. The lawyers can't visit their clients right now. These are big, huge issues that we cannot solve. It's nobody's fault in this meeting. It's a funding problem. We can't retain. We can't recruit. We don't pay them enough. They can make more money at Chick-fil-A and Target. Granted, yes, they don't have a retirement. Granted, they don't have the insurance that we offer. There's some great things we offer. But at the end of the day, when you're so stressed out that you can't even see 2 feet in front of you, after a while, you got to make decisions on what, hey, is health insurance important or is my health important? I don't know. My own mental health, right? So since we brought this subject up, I've been trying to get this done. I know Julie and staff are working on it because now we finally have come to an impasse that we finally realize we don't have the funding to do this right. We can't do this alone. The city couldn't do it alone. They passed it over to the county. I don't think you all remember that. That was the smartest move that the city of Albuquerque ever did, was throw this into the county and say, bye, see ya, right? We should have never agreed to that. What we should agree to is say, hey, look, we get it. We have a lot of part that's unincorporated. We'll pitch in, we'll pay our part, but we should have just taken it over and let them just not pay anything. Nobody pays us anything for the job that we're doing at MDC. And that is systemically wrong. And we will not succeed on our own. So with that being said, I know we're discussing this $500,000. I agree with Commissioner Benson. Can we get this straight to them and let them use that money to do the right thing, but still call ourselves being partners with the city? Because I also believe that something my father taught me, if they don't do it right, you need to teach them how to do it right. You can't turn your back on them. Right? I get it. I understand where Commissioner Benson's coming from. I see what he sees. We should be the innovators. We should be the ones that bridge. If their bridge is over here, then we got to build our bridge a little further to connect it. I believe that eventually, if the right people are in office, we can do that. So I will support this because I know how good this organization is and the work that they've done. I've dealt with it firsthand, so it's hard for me to turn my back on that. But I do agree that instead of filtering it through the city, saying, hey, look, we're partnering with you in the city, but we're going to give our money to this nonprofit, and then they're going to do what they need to do with it, which is improve their facility so they can serve more people. That's my point. That's my statement. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Quesada. County Manager Baca.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Commissioner Benson, did you want to say something first? You have your hand up.
No, I'll follow you. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to address your concern. So as far as an RFP, the city, I'm pretty confident they've already gone through the procurement process. And so in order for us to transfer the money to the city, I mean, we can do that without an RFP because it's a government to government transaction. So that's why we were using this method. And I just wanted to be totally transparent about that. And the other thing, I know that you were concerned with, you know, the way the city was spending the money. And so we do these kinds of things with the city all the time. So we could do an agreement with the city and attach performance measures to it to make sure that you're comfortable with that. So I just wanted to offer that suggestion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, County Manager. Yes, Vice Chair Benson.
Thank you, County Manager. Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Quesada, you mentioned Councilor Pena, and I should say that individual counselors, I feel probably do work well with the commissioners. I've only had one reach out to me to do any kind of work, and that was Councilor Lewis. And but it was above board, and it was a joint effort in the future. And so I do appreciate that. I feel as an entity, though, as a whole, the city takes from us more than it tries to give back. So I just want to say that. I'm going to vote no against this. Family Promise seems like a great organization. Hopefully they'll use the money well. Doing the intergovernment agency agreement, it doesn't feel clean. You know, we had public comment saying that there's a trust issue with our citizens and the government, because I feel like there's, you know, agreements made. I didn't even know. I started getting emails about this before I knew it was an agenda item. I started getting emails from the Family Promise group, Now, I know they're a national organization and they do this all the time, all across the country. So I started getting emails about it before I even knew what the heck was going on. So there's just something that stinks about this process. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it exactly. It doesn't feel right. And yeah, we're making, taking care of homeless people, but we're not really taking care of homeless people. We're not. You guys can make it sound like we are because we keep spending more money on it, but the problem keeps growing. Meanwhile, send the police with me. I'll take them to the drug dealers. You all know what I'm talking about. Go to the Coronado Park. You can watch the drug dealers come and go in broad daylight in super spiffed up cars. We're not taking care, and so this is a joke. This is spending taxpayer money to help an organization get a building that they were already promised, and they're not going to help reduce the homeless problem. And the city council is continuing to keep talking about more tents out of compassion, and it's not compassion. It's disgusting. It's cruel. It is cruel. So, yes, if this passes, I do ask that there are measures set up so that we can make sure that that our taxpayer money is being spent well, because it's not. It's not. When we leave this commission meeting, actually, I don't know where you all are located. I'm here in the county building, and when I leave, there's homeless people right outside the door. They don't want to live in shelters. They don't want to conform to anybody else's rules. And so we're allowing them to break the law, flagrantly break the law by using illegal drugs, defecating in the streets, being a public nuisance, vandalism, destruction, theft. And we're allowing it because, let's be compassionate. It's not compassionate. It's destroying our city. So if you all three vote to continue the trend, I want to trust that your hearts are in the right place, but I'm trying to be reasonable here. I'm trying to speak reason. Last vote like this, we did a recurring $500,000 increase a year to the tiny home village because only 4 people were living there after 2 years when it was built for 40. So I'm trying to speak to your reason and have decisions made just not with, well, if we care about people, we're just going to throw millions of dollars at something, because it's not working. The problem's getting worse. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benson. And I just want to say, and we can close this off and move to a vote, but I like I said at the beginning, I think family promise and homelessness, substance use, drug use are all interconnected. Behavioral health, diagnosis, like actual diagnosis, and just things like depression and the things that our families are dealing with, right? They're all interconnected. And I definitely heard you when you were talking about like the previous dollars we've talked about, again, recurring dollars, again, not a model that everybody's, but I did feel very good and confident when we met, and your comments from before were in my head when we were meeting with Family Promise. And what I'll just repeat, right, that what I really appreciate about their model is that they are taking, and they have been running for a very long time. They have like 26 or more churches involved that regularly do the work to volunteer and get supplies. So they're not asking for those programmatic dollars. They're asking for the actual infrastructure, a building where they can house people. And since they're so interconnected, it's why I'm even moved more, right? Because they're ready to house people, while for most of us, with whether you talk to the city or the county or the state, most of our projects are years down the road, while everybody's struggling to find affordable housing for this very nuanced issue, right? And it is very nuanced. Like I was on the housing wait list myself when I was a single mom of 2 kids attending UNM. I was on the housing wait list myself for 2 years. Thankfully, I had family members that I could crash with and live with during those times. But yeah, it's nuanced from everyone that we see on the street. Sometimes we think because we see the folks that are living on the streets or unsheltered, in our communities that we think that's sort of everyone, but it's a lot of different. And Family Promise does not allow, they're a different model than what we were proposing, and a model I propose often for a harm reduction model. They don't accept folks that are using drugs. They work with whole families to the point to where if a kid needs tutoring, they're not just focused on the housing aspect, right? They're going to find the tutoring for that kid. They're going to find resources for a grandparent trying to get custody of the kid that they're taking care of. They're doing the full wraparound services, and I understand the worry about resources, but I do think these are interconnected. And even if we're not solving homelessness, I think we're helping support some families too that are on those fringes. So I just wanted to make sure and to know that the folks, we met with them in their new building, they're all local. I know you mentioned about a national organization. This is not a national issue, I believe. I hope we didn't lose Commissioner Quesada. Anyways, I'm going to take us to a vote. So hopefully we didn't, Vice Chair Benson. Did we lose Commissioner Quesada? Anyone tell? Go ahead, Commissioner Benson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for your thoughts and your perspective. I really do appreciate it. I do want to say, if this was, our first attempt at trying to address homelessness, I would be actually, I'd probably jump all over it. I'm just so fed up with the excuses that the city's giving. I'm fed up with it. It's gross, and the problem's getting worse. But yeah, Family Promise itself looks like a good organization, and appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. We lost Commissioner Quesada. So we have a motion and a second. I guess we call for the vote. County Clerk. Please.
Alrighty. Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson.
No.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes. So I believe we have a 2-1 approval. Thank you. Okay, we're moving to item 11. Oh, sorry, 10. All right, got into that conversation. Item 12 for approvals. We have fiscal year, Madam Assessor Tanya Giddings to present for fiscal year 2023 property valuation maintenance program.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Assessor Giddings.
Thank you. The past 2 years that I've presented, I've run into every single technical issue you can think of. So, so yes, I didn't think my last presentation would be virtual again, but I'm glad everybody is safe. So good evening, Tanya Giddings, Assessor for Bernalillo County. Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Board of Commissioners. I am presenting the Property Valuation Maintenance Program. I'd also like to recognize my team members who are with me this evening, Michelle Aguilar, Deputy Assessor, and Deputy Assessor Clyde Ward. So if you guys ask any questions that I can, of course, answer, of course, I will refer to my other experts. So let me quickly begin. I know you've had a very long and full agenda. So I'm again proud to present the Assessors Property Valuation Maintenance Program and Annual Report for 2022. In order to maintain current and correct property values for the county assessor must implement a program that includes collecting and maintaining relevant information in order to apply appropriate statutory valuation methods. The Property Valuation Plan and Maintenance Program is funded statutorily through the property tax revenue and to aid the Board of County Commissioners and the public in determining whether the county assessor is operating an efficient property valuation maintenance program for the county. And in determining the amount allotted for this function, the county assessor presents an annual budget
and a written report setting forth activities of the year evaluation. Adequate funding for the program benefits the property owners of Bernalillo County, ensuring current and correct property values per the property tax code for a fair and equitable ad valorem property tax system. The goal of the property evaluation program is to value parcels with the county, which includes residential, non-residential, livestock, and business personal property accounts, and apply all legal exemptions, limitations of value, and special methods of valuations under the authority of the assessor for property tax purposes. Again, the program purpose is to maintain valuation for the 285,836 real property parcels and personal property accounts that were reflected in the 2022 notices of values in Bernalillo County that equaled a net taxable value of 18.8 billion. Again, that's net taxable value. Program outline is we processed and reviewed 19,083 residential and 3,895 non-residential real property transfers. We processed and reviewed 14,367 residential and 1,576 non-residential real property building permits. And we processed and reviewed 873 business licenses and building permits, and 10,305 business equipment reports, 6,465 manufactured homes reporting forms, and 502 livestock reports. Our office is driven by data, so I'm sorry if the data is a little overwhelming, but our property assessment calendar, our office is it's a constitutional office, of course, and it's very dictated by our property assessment calendar. And if you're referencing the book, and it is the property tax calendar is on page 7, but we have to meet monthly deadlines internally, of course, to meet those monthly deadlines externally. In order to produce the property value maintenance program, we have established an operating budget of 6.3 million from the valuation fund for fiscal year 2023. And that is just again a flat request. It's a 6.3 no increase. So our budget and organizational structure, of course, we have a staff level of 98. We have 22 vacancies. So our staff level of 98 were able to produce everything that we've just put together. That includes 42 appraisers. 24 of those 42 appraisers are state certified appraisers, which means they have completed up to 4 or more International Association of Assessing Officer courses and earned certificates. 18 of our other state certified appraisers, they're certified at level 1, 2, 3 with the completion of 1, 2, 3 International Association Assessing Officers. So our staff training is continuous. It's important because our appraisers, including our assessor techs and all our other divisions, they need to be well trained and informed on the property assess system. So our department, again, that helps produce the property valuation plan. The Office of the Assessor is comprised of 10 departments that work together to produce and maintain the taxable values of the county. I'm going to highlight 2 real quick. Customer service, they took over 17,800 telephone calls, 4,176 email inquiries. They processed and reviewed over 27,574 documents of conveyance, coded 30,742 documents, and processed and reviewed individual exemptions and limitations. Head of family, 3,833. Veterans, we had wonderful veteran outreaches the past 2 years that have been very successful. Teaming up the New Mexico Department of Veteran Services, held at the assessor's office or out in the field, teaming up with commissioners when possible. So we had about 926 veterans that applied for exemptions, 340 veteran tax waivers that were applied, and of course helping the 65 and older or disabled disability residents of our county. 1,592 value freeze programs were applied. To highlight the Geographic Information Systems and Mapping Department, they performed over 229 splits and combinations. They coded 3,182 deeds and produced 2,946 database inquiries and corrected 117 legal descriptions and 21,163 situs addresses. I want to highlight these things to you because this is the Bernalillo County staff who really work hard. They provide great customer service to residents of Bernalillo County, and they take great pride in their work. And it's every chance I get, I always want to highlight the work that they produce. So the Statistical Analysis Evaluation Maintenance Program and Annual Report, again, all this work that I just laid out was to help produce the 2022 notices of values that were mailed earlier this year. And that was 285,836. That's non-res, res, and personal property accounts. We saw a 4.37 increase in net taxable value for all taxable unprotested properties for the county. So we're still in the process of resolving our protests that were filed this year. So again, that is the unprotested net taxable value. I'll give the quick breakdown. So the residential parcels, 233,838. What we saw an increase in value was 82.19%. There was a lot of sales going on in the market. There was no change in value. That was about 14.85%. We saw a decrease in value, which was about 2.97%, which equals about 6,941 parcels. For commercial and apartment level parcels, 19,381 in total what we assessed for 2022. We saw 7.35% increase in value, which is 1,424. No change in value, 89% or 17,259, and 3.6% or 698 decreased in value. Our assessed values and market values for residential real property, and at a later time, if you want to, you could refer to page 23 for this section. We maintain two sets of values in our CAMA system. The market value based on analysis of prior year market activity, which produces the current and correct values, and the assessed value for ad valorem purposes, recognizing the limitation on increase in valuation for residential property, which is of course otherwise known as that 3% cap. So again, the assumption is always made that many property owners believe that we raise values automatically 3% every year, which is a 3% increase in taxes, when that is not true. As again, in page 23, if you get the time to review our 38-page document, overall, the average percentage of market-based cost values compared to assessed values in the county for 2021 was 82.24%. The next section I want to talk about is just our community outreach. Of course, 2020 changed our processes on how do we do outreach. I will again highlight before I move to the wonderful new building we're in, we were able to utilize in the old prior assessors building, the walk-up window. So we were still able to assist property owners who didn't have access to virtual meetings, and that was very important to us. And so I look at that as a community outreach in the sense that because everything was so virtual, we were still able to be accessible. Our outreach, we do a lot of educational videos. Our social media is very important in trying to reach every property we can and more in an educational forum. Our office is always, people are afraid to reach us, but then once they do, we get wonderful reviews and compliments because our staff really do want to help. And so one of the things I do want to highlight real quickly on a community outreach effort that we did this past year. We started it at the end of 2021 and it was finally initiated in 2022. So the property valuation plan will reflect it next year, I believe. but we created these postcards. So postcards that are mailed out to new property owners. As soon as we get notification that a new property was purchased, whether residential or commercial, a postcard is automatically sent to that property owner that gives them a QR code. It introduces them to the assessor's office, congratulates them on their purchase, lets them know about deadline dates, and directs them directly to the assessor's office page with a page that's dedicated to new property owners, things to know. So we've had some great success on that one. And good compliments, and a lot of people were able to sign up for their exemptions right away once they were informed about this. As I start wrapping up, one thing I want to touch on is some projects that are on the horizon that my administration has been working on that will be completed by the end of this year and will be reflected in the Office of the Assessor produces next year and into the future. My term comes to an end, of course, this year. So I just want to talk about these and highlight, because again, our IT staff, the assessor staff, my administration, we've really worked hard on these projects, and we can't wait for them to come to fruition at the end of this year, and look forward to what that will mean to the office, the work that we produce, and what it means to the taxpayers of Bernalillo County. So again, we've been working diligently with County IT, our assessor IT management and staff, to move hosting of our computer assistant mass appraisal system, our vendor, to the cloud. And we hope to see that come to completion at the end of this year. Thank County Legal also for working with us on reviewing contracts and stuff. The implementation of a cost comparison application into, again, our computer system mass appraisal. And this is, of course, will help with our commercial valuations. We are also implementing a document management system into our computer system mass appraisal program, which is basically converting historical document and data information that is currently held in a separate application. But we're combining it all into one system. So this, of course, will be made, things will be a little bit more, or a lot more efficiently. Next is an application in our geographic information system, which is called Change Finder, and it'll help on the appraisal process. The application detects changes for new and existing structures. So this will coincide with what the Canvas project, a project I initiated in 2014. So again, ensure that we're treating everybody fair and equitable. If you have a structure that didn't have a permit, that we pick that up and say you no longer have a structure that you didn't tell us about, then it's removed. So the goal again is to ensure fairness. Field Mobile is another application tool within our CAMA system. Bernalillo County, Clyde can correct me if I'm wrong, but we will be the first in the state to actually use a Field Mobile application for appraisers when out into the field. And it'll work directly again with our computer system mass appraisal. And then the countywide Canvas project with the help of Change Finder. We are hoping to finally see the completion of that before another cycle starts. It'll be reflected in the 2023 notices. So in closing, the property valuation maintenance program will continue to ensure compliance with the laws enacted by the New Mexico legislature in order to accurately and partially value property in Bernalillo County within the timeline set forth by the property tax code. I want to thank the Office of the Assessor team, again, Deputy Assessor Clyde Ward and Michelle Aguilar, our Assessment Manager, Tito Chacon, our IT Analyst, Mitchell Monk, and the Office of the Assessor staff for their hard work and dedication to the people we serve and their tireless daily efforts to provide the best customer service in fulfilling our mission of fair and equitable assessments for property owners in Bernalillo County. And then on a personal note, I just want to say thank you to the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners for entrusting me out of 21 applicants to serve as the county assessor when you all appointed me to fulfill the 2-year vacancy in 2013. Thank you.
I also want to say thank you to the residents of Bernalillo County for entrusting me twice to serve as for the elected constitutional office for a total of 10 years. In those 10 years, our administration has had huge successes, a few losses, but we've built a team. We've been a team, and we laid a stable foundation and have continued to build on it year after year to improve our processes for efficiency, transparency, for providing great customer service, and for ensuring fair and equitable property values per the property tax code, as well as to be the voice for the property owner and for the entities that are the recipients of the property tax revenue. I've led this office with integrity and with my heart. Again, thank you, Bernalillo County, for entrusting me. It has been an honor. So with that, I ask for approval for the fiscal year 2023 valuation budget in support of the property valuation program, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you so much, Assessor Tanya Gidding, for that presentation and all that great information. I feel like I learned so much. And thank you to your team. And I just want to honor, I know that the work of the assessor's office is so behind the scenes and so valuable. And often we don't get to see it up front or in the middle of the newspaper, right? So I just want to share with you and your team how valuable the work that you all do from the assessor's office and your leadership, Assessor Giddings, to improve the office and make sure that we're working equitably and really it's such a foundation for the revenues for the county. So I'm so proud and thankful for your leadership and your team to hold that office with such integrity. Thank you again. I want to honor and value your time and leadership with us. And I see Vice Chair Benson has his hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Assessor. And I want to reiterate Madam Chair's words. Thank you so much for all your dedication, your hard work, and the team that you've built and all of their work. And well done. Yeah, very well done. About your presentation, it's very thorough, and I thought it was great. I'm curious what would happen, and I was glad to see thank you for putting the chart in showing the assessor rates versus property values increasing. I think that that's good for the public to see. What would happen if, not if, when, property rates go up and down? When property rates turn around and come down, what's the likelihood of decreased property taxes? I mean, I know that there's a gap there, so I'm not saying that it's got to come down if property rates come down, but would there be any relief there in property taxes?
Okay. Madam Chair, again, thank you for the recognition, the compliment, and thank you, of course, Vice Chair Benson. If I could refer that question to Deputy Assessor Clyde Ward.
There we go. I was having little issues trying to get it to unmute. Madam Chairman and Commissioner Benson, thank you for the question. We always think about that as we see values going up. We know there's going to be a downhill slide, maybe if that's the market continues like it does. It's a roller coaster ride. There's a process known as yield control. It's probably one of the only algebraic formulas in statute that talks about how that is dealt with. If if we have rises and dips in property values, the thing with yield control is to maintain a revenue source to the counties and the municipalities and to the school systems. So it tries to maintain a taxable, even though you see the values may drop, the taxes may not. But we would anticipate that that's the case, that it would maintain that revenue stream so that if we did see those values dropping, we may notice an increase in mill rate. Just like we saw last year, the county portion of the mill rate did drop because of the increases in values last year. But there's a whole, we have to consider all the schools and everybody else that impacts the mill rate and any voter approved bond issues or anything there that may do that. The biggest thing that will affect taxes is any voter approved bond issues and stuff like that that may expire
you would see more of a change from that than the actual change in the market. But the mill rate will adjust accordingly to keep that revenue stream basically stable so that it will absorb any GRT, fluctuations and stuff like that as well. But it's our stable revenue source, as the finance department can probably tell you that one holds true and has, minimal fluctuations for that very reason. So we will adjust at the assessor's office for any decreases in valuation. What the mill rate does from there will be up to the yield control formula as well. But the assessor's office adapts to it according to market value.
Thank you very much, Deputy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I want to add my thanks to Assessor Giddings. The legislature sets the rules, and I can say that our assessor followed them to the letter. And that's her responsibility. I think that if there's any frustration with either the yield rate or the increase in taxes, I think it's allowable 3%. It's something that we have to address to the legislature. And because I can see, people are frustrated about the increase in tax. And while their taxes don't go up 3%, the assessed value can go up 3%. And that results in an increased tax. And if folks are, especially on limited incomes, and even if you're not, it's just one of those things where you're like, why do I keep paying more and more tax? And I think, as was mentioned by the deputy director or the assessor, is that, we anticipate 3% increase in our budget every year. And in order to maintain that 3% increase, right, it's got to come from somewhere, and it's coming from us. And the largest payer of the tax or the property tax are residential properties. And I can see how people are frustrated about that. I get frustrated about it, and I've talked to the assessor about it. She's like, well, this is the way it is. This is what, and but then, now people buying a new house, the property, now they're going to have to pay on a $400,000 tax on a $400,000 when the previous owner was paying on $200,000 or something like that. That's just a big hit. And, but I think there's some work that needs to be done, especially around codes and things like that. And that's the legislator's job. And I think we need to, let our legislators know if we're frustrated about those numbers. We need to let them know about it. So again, I want to thank you, Assessor. It's just wonderful. There's been no scandals. You've been extremely fair. And as I said, you've had you know what the rules are, and you've followed them, and appreciate your many years of service. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and Shirley Reagan.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Madam Assessor, I just want to tell you that I thank you for partnering with me. I serve as your liaison, and it's always been my team's and my pleasure to work with you and your team and do all the things that we needed to do to make the property tax program as good as it could be. And I do appreciate all that you've done and your openness and your willingness to do the right things. And as Commissioner O'Malley said, make sure those rules are followed and implemented and, within your means. And I do appreciate that. I also just wanted to tag in there, everybody's right on the property taxes. And that's why, like the debt service, when we issue our GO bonds, our financing structure works really hard to ensure that we don't increase that mill levy rate to finance. Because basically what you're doing is you're using property taxes to pay the debt when you issue bonds. So we've worked really hard, and since probably 2012 or so, we have not increased that. So from that perspective, the county has not added to the increase in the property tax rate. So I just wanted to say that comes from all the teamwork here and the commissioners and finance and county managers. So I just wanted to add that in there. But like Commissioner O'Malley said, it's very complex, and it's going to take something from
the state to do something differently about it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reagan. Any other comments, questions? Again, thank you for your time and service. Sad to hear that this will be your last, but thank you for your service. I have a motion. I move to.
Can I say
approve-
something real quick?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I didn't know it was the appropriate time for me. I'm only in front of the commission once a year, so I didn't know it was the appropriate time for me to respond. I just wanted to really quickly comment. Commissioner O'Malley, of course, we've sat down and had many discussions over the past 10 years, and of course, I also recognize Commissioner O'Malley for her years of service as the county here, as a commissioner here at the county. But yes, I've worked diligently with the legislature over the years, as I would recognize Clyde Ward, who is also the former vice chair of the assessor affiliate, and I think also former chair of the assessor affiliate, who worked very hard when I first came on board in 2013 and 2014, 2015, working to change a lot of things at the legislature. Of course, one of them is how residential and non-residential sales are looked at from the assessor's perspective. The statute, we need some things changed in the legislature, and the past couple of years there have been things that have been proposed that have not been able to pass through. And so hopefully those discussions will continue, and hopefully there will be some changes soon. There's two ways you can always look at the 3%. The 3% is a benefit to the property owner who's been living in that home. But at the same time, it's a benefit in the sense that the property is capped, but at the same time, that property is sold and it's brought to a higher value. So there's definitely things that need to be looked at over the years. And you're right, I do follow statute. It was my sworn duty, and like I said, I took great pride in it. So thank you again, Shirley, as well, for your comments, and I appreciate it. And that's it.
Yes, County Manager.
I will be very quick. I just want to thank you, Madam Assessor. It's been a pleasure and privilege to work with you in your office. So thank you very much for your service, and you're not gone yet, so we still have a few more months with you.
Oh yeah, we still have a lot of work to do.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I'll recognize Treasurer Pierce first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, I couldn't pass up a thank you to Assessor Giddings. It's always fabulous when you're a newly elected person to come in and a very senior elected person being in the office next to you, to be able to talk to be able to just throw ideas out. And of course, it's always nice to have female leadership up at the top. So thank you so much, Assessor Giddings. It's been wonderful the past 5.5 years having you next to me. I've appreciated it. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoy being your neighbor.
Madam Clerk Stover, sorry, I was on mute this time.
Madam Assessor, I want to tell you how much fun it's been over the last 10 years just knowing you and then working around you. But I think it's way too early to say goodbye yet.
Yes.
We have to have lots of lunches and time to talk. So I just wanted to say, we'll see you.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Clerk and Madam Treasurer, and thank you again, Commission, and for allowing me to present the property valuation plan tonight and allow me to toot the horn of this staff of the assessors a little bit. And And if there's any other questions, I'll go ahead and leave it to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Assessor. Motion, I move to approve the fiscal year 2023 property valuation maintenance program and annual report for 2022. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson, Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes.
So called. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Assessor Giddings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you again, Madam County Manager.
Okay, moving on to items 12B, communication services. We have Salvador Sal Torres Memorial Bench, Tia Bland to present, and Treasurer Nancy Burse and Ed Martinez to speak on behalf of the.
Good evening, Madam Chair, County Commissioners. I'm Tia Bland, Communication Services Director and Chair of the county's Naming and Memorial Committee. This particular proposal came to us from the county manager's office. And the proposal is to name a memorial park bench after a former Parks, Recreation, and Open Space employee. His name, as you mentioned, is Salvador Torres, and he worked for the county's Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Land Management section for 25 years. And he was in the process of retiring when he became ill and passed away. Last year, it was July. So last year, July 2021. And so his colleagues, former colleagues and supervisors over at Parks, Recreation, and Open Space wanted to do something to memorialize him. And what he's known for is providing top quality care of the county's parks and open spaces. He took his job very seriously and really cared about providing a safe, joyful experience for members of the public who would visit the parks and open spaces. And so this memorial bench would be located off of North 2nd on the west side of the street. The cross street would be Willow Road, and there's a public trail there where walkers and runners enjoy themselves. And so this park would be on the side and would allow people to take a break, people watch, or just, whatever they wanted to do. So the Naming and Memorial Committee recommends to the board approval of this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tia Bland, and I believe we have Treasurer Burse to on behalf of Ruby Torres, his wife, Mr. Santos.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I believe Mrs. Torres has joined us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't get on with my regular computer, so I'm like, I don't even know how I got you guys, but I'm here.
Yay,
Wonderful.
welcome.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm reading Ruby Torres's words.
You're a little bit muffled, Treasurer Burse, maybe, yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading Mrs. Torres's words on her behalf. You should also know that Mrs. Torres is an employee of the county as well in the treasurer's office, in my office. So I agree to speak on her behalf.
Madam Treasurer, you are still muffled, so it's a little difficult to hear you.
Okay, hold on. Is this better?
No.
No. Okay.
Ms. Torres, I'm not sure if you're prepared to speak or.
I had made a speech, which Madam Treasurer has, because I'm not good at speaking with public, to the public. I'm not. Sal was that person. We're really humbled by, like I learned this through an email through the county. Of course, nobody knew that I worked through the county. Well, some people knew, but not a lot of people. So I learned through it, through an email, and
my family is humbled. Sal would be humbled. You know, he was an awesome man, and I really appreciate this honor. And you know, we really, I like I say, I'm not good at words. I'm not good at speaking in front of people, but it meant the world to us for him to be recognized.
Thank you so much, Ms. Torres.
So yeah, I zoomed in. I did what I could to be in this meeting, but you know, he would be humbled. He was a good man. He apparently, I didn't even know that any of this is going on. Like I say, I was at work one day. I seen the email come up, and I was like crying my eyes out. And you know, fellow people that worked with me that knew he was my husband were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe." You know, it turned into a big old thing. But we really are humbled, and we really appreciate that they even thought to make a bench for him.
Thank you so much, Ms. Torres. I know that we're honored to have this. Thank you for being here. And I am glad you spoke up and were able to express yourself. You don't have to be a professional speaker.
No, that's what I was like, now I asked Madam Treasurer, I'm like, could you help me, please? Like, I'm not good at words. And I did. We made a speech. We did our whole thing. I'm like, but you got to read it because I'm not good at this.
Well, thank you.
Madam Chair, I think she's very good at it, and it was a heartfelt words. And appreciate you speaking, Ruby. Let me just tell you, I'm not so sure we're all that great with words either. So you're doing a great job.
You are doing a beautiful job.
Yeah.
But no, from me and my family, we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. And like I say, Sal would be cocky about this. He'd be like, "Oh, look, they're talking about me. They're still talking about me." And you know, and that's what I could tell you. I could be me and be like, he would, if he was alive, he'd be cocky. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I guess. But we really do appreciate it. And we love the fact that they even thought of doing this for him.
He was obviously beloved. And fluff your feathers, Sal Torres presente. He's here. Oh, the county manager holding a photo of him. And I know, go ahead.
You know, I had made a full-blown, like, it was a really pretty speech and everything for Madam Treasurer to do, because I didn't think I could do this. But I mean, from the bottom of our hearts, this is what it means to us. It means everything.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. And I see Deputy Joe Amayed, but I believe also that Edward Martinez is here to say. And then, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Martinez. Do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm here. Hope you can see a video.
We can hear you.
Let me see if I can get the video.
No worries, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Commission, I really appreciate consideration to approve the installation of the memorial bench for Sal Torres near his home and his family in the North Valley. Sal Torres and his wife, Ruby Torres, and family enjoyed walking the county trail, enjoying conversations and the aesthetics of their surroundings. Having a memorial bench in his honor will hopefully bring back togetherness they have enjoyed for the past or in the past. You know, it's having a memorial bench in his honor is very grateful for us in land management. He's part of our family, and we have had a lot of memories with him, and more than we can count. He was like a brother to us, and we did many things with him. He'd have our backs for everything, and we're very grateful of that. Sal Torres was a great and wonderful county employee who would help others when he was needed. No questions asked. Sal would do it. Sal also an awesome role model for all those who were planning to move up in their careers. Sal was always on time, always daily, and never complained about doing anything above or beyond his job. And that counted for helping others, and that's really phenomenal. Sal was very dependable, and we've asked him to do stuff. I've asked him to do things for me, and very dependable. It's hard to say anything bad about Sal because he's such a wonderful man, wonderful worker, wonderful employee, for the county. The county benefited off his knowledge and work ethics, so it's a great man to lose. It's very hard to lose him so fast. It would be my honor to help him place the memorial bench where the Torres family can enjoy and explain how great he was to his grandchildren when they come along, and I thank you, Commission, for letting me speak in front of you, and Ruby Torres, thank you for everything and letting us have your husband, for so long. He was a great man. Again, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I hope you do consider giving the approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Ms. Debito Amaya, did I miss you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, Ed took the words out of my mouth. Like I said, Sal was we respected him. He was well respected by all of his peers and everybody that worked with him. I think I'll stop there. Thank you, Ruby, for lending them to us, Bernalillo County Parks and Recreation. Thank you.
Thank you, Debito. Ms. County Manager Baca.
And I'll be brief. Thank you, Ed, for the very kind words that you said. I think a lot of us share your sentiment, and I knew Sal when I was a deputy county manager, and I worked with him and had so much respect for him and admiration for his leadership. So thank you, Ruby, for sharing Sal with us for many, many years. He'll be missed, and he left an amazing legacy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sartores, for your service and commitment to our communities. Yes, Ms.
I
Torres?
was going to say, did you move approval, Madam Chair?
If you want to, you can.
I'd like to move approval.
I can second that. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. This is a motion to approve installation of memorial bench. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson.
Yes, of course.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes, thank you. So Ms. Torres, you and your family and all the staff who cared, and we'll have a memorial bench. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for everything you guys have done for him. I really appreciate it. And like I say, he would be humbled. And I mean, the people that know Sal, he'd like throw it in my face and he'd be like, oh, I got a bench. I'm just kidding. But
love your feathers, Mr. Sal.
I really appreciate it. And the people that know Sal know what I'm talking about. But we really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Okay, moving to item 12C, we have Fleets and Facilities Fire Station number 37 project, Elias Archuleta from Public Works to present.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'll be presenting two items for action in this item tonight. First, we're going to be going over requesting approval of some amendments to the existing community workforce agreement. And then based on those approvals, we're going to recommend approval for its use on the Fire Station 37 project. As you're aware, on September 20th, 2020, the BCC passed the Community Workforce Agreement Ordinance. And per that ordinance, the CWA would be utilized on any public works construction project where in the judgment of the county commission, it would serve for the interests of the county residents and taxpayers, and where the total project cost is anticipated to exceed $7 million, and where it's anticipated that at least 3 crafts would be employed on the project. With that, we had presented the workforce agreement language that was previously approved by the commission. And to that agreement, we're requesting that 6 amendments be considered for your consideration. First amendment would add a signature line to include the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers, local number 4. Amendment number 2 is to amend paragraph 8.2 to delete the words within the scope of and replace with for work performed pursuant to. And also number 3, to amend paragraph 8.3 to add a new sentence reading, nothing in this agreement shall be deemed to require the contractor's employees to become a member of any union nor continue in good standing with any union to maintain employment. Amendment number 4 would add a new paragraph that reads, where a subject covered by the provisions of this agreement is also covered by a local collective bargaining agreement, the provisions of this agreement shall prevail. Where a subject is covered by the provisions of a local collective bargaining agreement and is not covered by this agreement, the provisions of the local collective bargaining agreement shall prevail. Any disputes as to the applicable source between this agreement and any local collective bargaining agreement for determining the wages, hours, and conditions of employment of employees on the project shall be resolved pursuant to the procedures of Article 7. It is understood that this agreement, together with the reference local collective bargaining agreements, constitute a self-contained standalone agreement, and by virtue of having become bound to this agreement, the contractor will not be obligated to sign any other local, area, or national collective bargaining agreement. Item number 5 is authorize the county manager to execute any community workforce agreement needed to implement approval of the use of the community workforce agreement ordinance. And number 6, authorize the county manager to execute any subsequent amendments or change orders to the construction contract and to recommend any subsequent amendments to the community workforce agreement to the commission. So those constitute the amendments that we are requesting approval for in motion 1. And in motion 2, we are requesting that we apply the amended community workforce agreement, if approved, to the construction of fire station number 37, which has a project estimate of $8.6 million. And we expect that at least 3 crafts will be included in this construction. Fire station number 37 would construct a new fire station in the southwest corner of Atrisco Vista and Central Avenue, and would serve the west central portions of the county. And with that, I stand for questions. Also with me tonight is County Attorney Ken Martinez, who will also address any questions that may fall out of my expertise.
Thank you, Deputy Director Archuleta. I see Vice Chair Benson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Archuleta, how can you explain how just the application, or maybe county attorney, maybe you can explain it, the application of an employer not being able to require employees to be part of a union? How does that work and still retain the essence of the agreement?
Oh, thank you. There is provisions in our agreement that allow them to bring in some of the onboard employees and also to go to the union hall for additional employees after that. And if there are none available through the onboard, then go back to the regular process through the independent contractor, should they be one. So there's fairly flexible ability to go back and forth between the two parties to make sure we have the employees.
Okay, so the contract, thank you, Ms. Martinez. So the contractor would be unionized, but then if he doesn't or she doesn't have the access to the appropriate subcontractors, if there aren't any to be found that are unionized, then we can find private.
That's correct. That's correct in a nutshell. And these amendments make that even more clear, that being a member of the union is not a prerequisite to having this contract. That's what the first two amendments do.
Thank you. I have one more question. Madam Chair, do you mind if I ask one more question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
The aspect of the county manager, what was that amendment where the county manager can choose or not choose? I'm sorry, I missed that language.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Benson, I'll field that question. So I think you're referring to item number 5, which states that authorize the county manager to execute any community workforce agreement needed to implement approval of the use of the community workforce ordinance. Is that statement, Commissioner?
Yes. Can you put that in layman's terms? Does that mean that they wouldn't come before the commission?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Benson, what this line is intended to do is the way the ordinance is written, either Public Works or in the case later on in the agenda, Parks and Rec and Open Space. If we have a project that meets the criteria of being $7 million or more, and we anticipate that it would include at least three or more crafts, we bring it to the commission for direction. So we would ask, based on the project characteristics, based on the funding, based on everything associated with this project, we would either recommend or would not recommend that we apply a CWA to that. And in the cases where we would not recommend it, is whether implementing a CWA on that project would jeopardize any funding that has any restrictions on it. Because we are required by ordinance to present that to the BCC for consideration, what this amendment would do is that would allow the county manager to execute that agreement in order to facilitate the bidding of that project. So we would bring it to you for guidance, and you say, yes, we would like you to apply it. So then in those contract documents, we would include the CWA, and like we do with some of our other construction contracts, where we ask you to delegate the approval authority to the county manager because all the documents aren't completed when we bring it to you. And tonight's a perfect example of when we would do that. If we are anticipating that the project would be awarded in July, where there's not a meeting, that we wouldn't have to wait till August to bring it back to the BCC for execution. This is where we envision that we would utilize this amendment, where the county manager would be authorized to execute the CWA as well as the construction documents for an associated project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And if I may, let's see if I'm not on mute. Commissioner, Madam Chair, Commissioner, that's a great catch, actually. The word any in there is confusing. It should be the. It's the contract. So appreciate you pointing out to us. And Elias, I think we should make that change to the proposed amendment. So it would say the contract, not any contract. Since there's only one contract, singular, and that's what the commission, that's what you guys would be authorizing the county manager to execute, the contract. Thank you, Commissioner. Good point.
Thank you very much.
Do we need, and would you like Vice Chair Benson to make that amendment? Do we need to make that amendment? Yeah, Vice Chair, do you want to propose?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to make that amendment. However, Ken said, Mr. Martinez said it. Thank you very much.
And I'll repeat it on item 5 of the amendments, where it says, and authorize the county manager to execute the community workforce agreement needed to implement. We had, unfortunately, the word any. It should be, the word should be the right there as part. That would be the correct amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I can second that amendment. Commissioner O'Malley.
Is that's the amendment to the amendment? Okay. So I guess, yeah, we'll taking roll now, Madam Clerk.
I will.
Okay.
Well, on the, we do the amendment first, right? And then we can move the whole motion. Okay, so roll, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment to the amendment.
Okay. Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson.
Yes.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes.
So called.
Thank you. Would anyone like to propose a motion to move the CWA amendments as a whole?
Yes, I would like to move the amendments as a whole.
Second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson.
No.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes.
Thank you. So called.
Thank you. And now we'll move to item 10B, Human Resources. We have Bernadette Pettis to present collective bargaining agreement with the Deputy Sheriff's Association.
I think we need to approve there's a B, Madam Chair, that's for approving the CWA for the fire station.
That's correct.
Thank you for that catch, Commissioner O'Malley.
Would like to move approval.
Motion, I can second that. Motion to approve the use of community workforce agreements. Madam Chair, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson.
No.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes. Okay, thank you, and sorry for that. Thank you. Moving on to item D, Human Resources, Bernadette Pettis to present.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Cindy Wieselbear. I'm the Human Resources Talent Manager, and I'm here on behalf of Bernadette Perez tonight. Human Resources is seeking Commission approval of the negotiated changes to the Bernalillo County Deputy Sheriff Association, or BCDSA, a collective bargaining agreement. Negotiations between Bernalillo County and BCDSA began on February 28th of this year and reached tentative agreement on May 9th. The union ratified the contract with an overwhelming majority of votes on June 9th, 2022. This contract expires on June 30th of 2023. HR Director Bernadette Perez would like to thank the county manager, management team, and BCDSA union negotiating team members for their collaboration in reaching this agreement. I'm not certain if a representative of BCDSA is in attendance and has anything to add. If not, otherwise I stand for questions.
Is there anyone here from BCD? All right, any questions? Yes, County Manager Baca.
Just a quick comment. I just want to say that the Sheriff's Union has been so professional It's been, I mean, from what I understand from the negotiating team, just straight up good people that want to do the right thing, that really stand up for their membership. And I know that, all negotiations are tough, but they understand where we're coming from, but always supporting their membership. And so the communication has been great. And I just want to thank, you know what, I see Ryan's on, so I want to thank him and his team for their professionalism and their respect. And it goes both ways. So it's been really great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, County Manager. Mr. Ryan Zamora. You're for some reason we can't hear you. You were not on mute. There we go. No. No.
How about that?
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I could get away without having this headset on. Somebody was trying to add me as a panelist, and I was trying to stay off the video as long as I could. So whoever that was, I'm really sorry. I was avoiding your invitation to be a panelist there. I want to thank everybody for your hard work on this. It's obvious from this meeting that just about everybody that I've talked to in the county, whether they're a business owner or something else, we're all having the same struggle. We all have retention issues. People are leaving different trades and leaving different professions. And it's obvious that we're all working on that together here at the county. I look forward to working on that together going forward. And I'm appreciative of this. Our membership is in support of this contract. So thank you, everybody, including the county side of negotiations and the BCDSA side of negotiations for working on this and coming to an agreement. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here through our long meeting and being present for this moment. Any other comments, questions? Ms. Vice Chair Benson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, should we make a motion to approve this before conversing or do it now?
We can discuss before and you can make a motion if you would like.
Okay. I'd like to make the motion to approve.
I'll second. Any other discussion?
I do have some points.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Vice Chair Benson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you, County Manager and Mr. Zamora. Thank you so much for your hard work. I wasn't involved in these negotiations, but I know you hear folk stories about, sometimes these things get heated, and but I did hear from County Manager that y'all were just very professional and wonderful to work with. So well done, and thank you, County Manager, and all of the county staff that you brought into this to make this happen. My only request in this is, and it's kind of like the $500,000 we're giving to the city is, and thank you also for the performance measurement standards for that. But I'd like to ask for the next time these conversations come up with the unions, and that's for the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, MDC. I want us to make them a higher priority. And I'd like to, what I'm worried about is cost of living. Inflation is crazy right now. Commissioner O'Malley and I were discussing property values jumping up, which affects the property taxes, just living rates altogether. And I'd like a recurring increase to be given to the to our first responders and the NBC too. I don't think we've made NDC as high of a priority as we should. And like I said earlier, we make the homeless people that are breaking the law, we're giving them a lot of priority and a lot of our attention, a lot of our resources. And the folks that are helping take care of those people, I don't feel like we are. So I'd like to ask that county manager, next time these negotiations come up, I'd like to see recurring cost of living increases going there. And I'd like to start making the good guys the priority here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Vice Chair Benson. We have a motion with a second. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Commissioner O'Malley,
You're on mute,
Commissioner
Commissioner O'Malley.
Hold on, pushing the wrong button. Yes.
thank you. Vice Chair Benson,
Yes.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Yes. Thank you for all the hard work. You have approval. Thank you for all that work to everybody. Moving on to item E, Parks, Recreation, Open Space. We have John Barney to present about Mesa de Sol, which I'm very excited for. And sadly, Commissioner Quesada is not here, which I know he would be excited about this as well, as we all should be. You're on mute, John Barney. Still, it's 2022 and we haven't finished the you're on mute.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. I'm going to share my screen briefly. My name is John Barney. I am the Planning Manager for Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. I think Debbie Jo was on, but she had to step off. And Enrico, I believe, is still on from Community Services, our Deputy County Manager. So I wanted just to briefly update you on the project, which is the Swede Shoulder, Dr. EA Swede Shoulder Regional Recreation Complex, which is, we're now going forward to construction of phase 2. What you see, you should be able to see. Does everybody see a graphic at this point? Okay, thumbs up, great. And the project as proposed at this point consists of those 4 green areas there, which are 4 synthetic turf fields, and the utilities and infrastructure that will need to support those fields and the users of those fields, also the parking and drainage. And there's also, you'll notice a trail on the right-hand side and a little piece of a trail up on the left-hand side, and there's a little bit of pieces of internal roadways and internal roadway system that will need to be completed as well. So that's the project as it stands right now. Originally, we were going to try and do 10 fields, but as everybody knows, who's heard items, construction items recently, the construction costs have gone through the roof over the last year and a half, and so this is what we can afford at this point for this project. So we have approximately $10 million for this project as the overall budget. There's a variety of funding types. The primary source is going to be 2020 GEO bonds. There's also some capital outlay dollars, thanks to our legislators. And then we have some ARPA funding also in the project, thanks to the ARPA project or ARPA funding process. So we're really grateful for all these sources of funding. Moving to the motions that were on our agenda item, first of all, we just want to recognize that it's CWA as amended. And based on the earlier discussions with Elias and with Ken and company. So all those amendments should also stand for this particular project as well. So this project does invoke the CWA. It's projected to be over 7 million based on the current cost estimate. It appears it may have more than
3 trades or crafts, although we're still kind of trying to understand how that works vis-a-vis the CWA and what crafts are actually under the CWA at this point. So that's where that stands. So we would recommend that in addition to the first 2 motions, which are standard because we are going to be bidding this project, hopefully it will be advertised on Sunday. Some of Lisa Steele White's staff and us will be kind of involved in trying to get that finished up tomorrow after this evening's meeting. And but that basically authorize the county manager to award the RFP and also authorize her to execute the agreement, the construction agreements. So then the next 3 motions, I may need some assistance from Ken or others, because I think these will change somewhat based on the earlier discussion. I think approve the use of the, depending on your direction, Madam Chair and members of the commission, approve the use of the community workforce agreement on the Mission Little Seoul Regional Recreation Complex per ordinance 2020-20, and then authorize the county manager to execute the community workforce agreement, I think, to implement approval of the use of the community workforce agreement ordinance. And then 5, authorize county manager to execute any subsequent amendments or change orders to the construction contract and recommend any subsequent amendments to the community workforce agreement, and that's without an S. So I don't know if I caught everything, but I stand for questions and comments.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. John Barney. Commissioner O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just was wondering why there's artificial turf versus regular, like natural turf.
Madam Chair, Commissioner O'Malley, we decided, I'm going to say probably 6 months ago in consultation with some of our folks on the Youth Sports Commission that 4 artificial turf fields would be very beneficial. They can be used all year round. We don't have to give them a break. Like typically our fields, including the field, this is kind of an issue with one of our main users, the United, Mexico United, who would like to use our one of our fields all the time, which is their practice facility, but we need to give our fields usually a rest of 2 to 3 months. So this enables the community to be able to use these year round. So that's one advantage. The other issue for us, and Elias's team is very involved in this, as is Enrico, but we're working out a new MOU, actually an IGA, with the water utility for providing water to these various facilities. And anyway, it's a pretty big chunk of water that needs to be supplied. And right now, as of right now, it is easier to build artificial turf fields, synthetic turf fields than natural turf fields up there. So that was part of the reason that staff decided, and my upper management, let's proceed with the synthetic turf fields.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John Barney. Any other questions, comments? I move, and I just want to recognize that I know that this has been a project Commissioner Quesada has been very close to. I know he's working and unable to be here right now. Yeah, I move to approve the 5 motions presented by Mr. John Barney. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson,
Yes.
Madam Chair Barkova.
Yes. Thank you. Very exciting to see that project moving forward. My last comments on the chair, and I just want to say that oftentimes when we think about how we prevent crime and ease the problems of addiction and stuff in our community, is these proactive ways to bring sports and ways to be healthy in the community for for our communities here. And I know Commissioner Quesada and I are always talking about how, south of Central, there's not a lot for our young people and for our young adults and adults that want to be physically active and in beautiful spaces. So excited to see this move forward. Last item F.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
important.
Commissioners.
Oh, yes, Mr. John Barney. Oh, he said thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for looking so slick tonight. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item F, Metropolitan Detention Center, McClendon proposed stipulated staffing order. I know we have Taylor Ron present and maybe Ken Martinez. Not sure who's presenting tonight, or County Manager Bob. Is it Ron Taylor?
Madam Chair, I'm going to defer to our county attorney, Ken Martinez, to present.
Thank you very much, County Manager and Madam Chair, and thank you especially County Commission. You've paid very careful attention to this, and it's been in the conversation all night tonight. We're lucky to have Ms. Taylor Ron as our lead counsel on this matter. She's done a tremendous amount of work, and we have a tremendous amount of work left to do. With that, I'll turn it over to Taylor Ron to present to you, pursuant to your directions, where we're at with regard to a stipulated settlement on this issue. Thank you, Ms. Ron.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. This motion or this order is the culmination of what we discussed in closed litigation meetings. In the McClendon lawsuit, the plaintiffs filed a motion to address the staffing crisis, alleging that the staffing makes it impossible for MDC to comply with its requirements in the McClendon litigation, specifically with the requirement that the Metropolitan Detention Center provide direct supervision. Direct supervision means that there's at least one officer on each pod at a time, as opposed to indirect supervision, which is typically done via video camera. There has been a number of well-publicized incidents as a result of the lack of staffing, and the parties worked very hard to create the order, which I believe has been provided to you. The order has some significant points that I'll point out to you. The first is that the plaintiffs had a significant interest in ensuring that there were benchmarks in order to improve the staffing at MDC. So as you'll see, this is a 2-year time frame to get the facility back up to an 80% fill rate. That is 80% of the allotted spots for security staff. Back when the facility was closer to this rate, we did not have the issues that we are experiencing now. So the goal for the first 6-month period after approval of this order by this board and ultimately by the court is we would add 13 full-time security officers. The Metropolitan Detention Center runs an academy approximately every 8 weeks at the facility. And so I know that we've talked and I've heard a lot tonight about efforts for recruiting and retention, and this will be extremely critical in order to add these positions. The county will have to take efforts to, in addition to the current efforts that are underway. And there's other provisions. The fourth 6-month period is the most aggressive goal, which seeks to add 46 full-time security officers. The reason why the goals are structured in this way is the concept of nothing succeeds like success, in that as we get more officers on, we will naturally increase retention because the officers won't be burned out and leave due to mandatory overtime. So it's a goal that will have more, will progress more quickly towards the end of this 2-year plan, because as we add officers, we'll lose less officers due to the mandatory overtime, which is severe. And I did hear the remarks of Sergeant Mason, and I recognize that's a significant issue for MDC staff. The second provision is the tracking of general population of time out of cell and general population. In a perfect world, general population inmates are pretty much let out of their cells all of the time, with the exception of limited lockdowns for head count or other facility needs, and then basically a bedtime. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, as well as due to staffing, most of our general population units are not being run like a traditional general population. Instead, the inmates' default is that they're inside their cells, and the exception is the time that they're let out of their cells. Agree with Sergeant Mason that this leads to a significant amount of frustration by the inmates. And quite frankly, it doesn't give the inmates an incentive to behave, because
the consequence of misbehaving in general population is being sent to SAG, but if the general population units are being run like a SAG unit, it does decrease their incentive. The call buttons are, we've already approved, this board actually already approved upgrades to the call buttons. And so provision number 3 simply sets a target for that to be completed within 15 months. I believe the initial projections are 12 months. We did add a little bit of a buffer there. Quality assurance for the current call button system. Unfortunately, because these buttons do work as a intercom, there's no phone log. And so there's a description of how MDC will track the use of the current call button system. Provision number 5 is maintenance of the current call button system. Of course, MDC has dedicated maintenance staff, and we worked with them to describe a schedule that would be feasible for these buttons to be checked and ensured that they're properly functioning. They are fairly regularly damaged by the inmates by shoving items into the call buttons. The request is that we do have a standalone settlement agreement in this case that, in relation to security provisions, has about 160 provisions that relate specifically to security, and the other 100 or so provisions relate to mental health and medical care. That's why I'm highlighting this, is because paragraph 7 says that if the county is in violation of this particular order, we're also in violation of our global settlement agreement. And we won't go to the judge to argue that by not meeting the benchmarks in this order, we're not actually violating the settlement agreement. Instead, the only argument will be whether or not we violated this particular order and the remedy for the violation. Additionally, the county does have a right under the Prison Litigation Reform Act to seek review of any injunctive relief, such as the relief that's entered by this order. Periodically, the county would be willing to forego that right for a period of up to 2 years, for a period of 2 years following the date the court files the stipulated order. Just to clarify for the board, if the board does approve this agreement, it has already been approved by plaintiff's counsel. It will still need to be approved and entered by the court. Judge Browning is free to reject this order. He's also free to request additional information before he enters the order. So with that, that's an overview, and I stand for any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor-Ron, Mr. Ken Martinez. Any comments, questions from commission? Yes, Commissioner O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it was important to have this discussion in a public meeting, because I think we're in a very difficult position. The county is, it's not something that's easily remedied, and there are a lot of circumstances that have led up to this. But I think that a lot of times, and I've explained to people about this the McClendon lawsuit and how we've been dealing with it for decades, and the cost that it has been to the county. And there's some things that I just want to explain to the public that there's some things that we have worked on and we've certainly tried to fix, but there's a lot of things that are out of our control. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And I do appreciate all the work that's been done, our legal counsel, our own legal counsel, and of course our contract legal counsel, and also our manager. Thank you.
Okay, I think I want to make sure, and I want to ask if either Ken Martinez or Ms. Taylor-Ron can sort of give us a sum in layman's terms of the things we're doing to address this through this proclamation. I feel privileged to have had time with you all and understand it more, and I want to make sure that folks that are watching and interested that they understand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Martinez, if it's all right, should I address this?
Yeah, and I'll just start with the layman's terms. That's the way I talk, and Taylor's able to talk in, really as we would to the federal judge. But we're setting benchmarks that we have to hit, and it's difficult. But if you don't have a specific goal, you don't know if you're getting there. And I think Taylor said the most important thing, nothing succeeds like success, to the point that we may not hit those benchmarks. At least we know what the miss is, so that we can really focus very hard on what we need to do to get there. Because not only is it setting the benchmarks, it's trying to keep the people that you find and put in there under the benchmarks. With that, I'll turn it over to Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I agree, Madam Chair, with Mr. Martinez, that probably one of the most important things is that it's setting specific benchmarks. This is a compromise. So the county's alternative to entering into the stipulated order, which is a settlement with plaintiffs, is to litigate this issue. And so this is a compromise. The benefit of reaching this compromise is that the county has control over the remedy, and we're able to set goals that we, in discussions with MDC, we worked very hard with the administration to include interviews with MDC training and recruiting, as well as discussions through the administration with maintenance staff, to set realistic benchmarks. If the county were not to enter into this settlement, we would essentially proceed into an evidentiary hearing in front of our district court judge, and Judge James Browning, who is the United States District Court judge, would be deciding what the remedy was. And so there is a benefit to the county to having control over the remedy in terms of agreeing to it with the plaintiffs. I hope that answers your question, Madam Chair. I wasn't sure if you meant the benefit of the agreement, or if you wanted an overview of the measures we're taking to comply with the benchmarks that are already set forth.
Yeah, I think I wanted a sum of the benchmarks. I didn't want to read the ones the way I wrote them, because I might be missed a little bit. So
the main goal, Madam Chair, of this is to do two things: to improve direct supervision and to increase out of cell time for inmates, as well as to improve safety of inmates in the meantime. Right now, call buttons are the only communication that inmates have when an officer has to leave the pod, which happens if an officer is assigned more than one pod. So those are the three main goals: is increase I would say probably the number one goal is to increase inmate safety. Secondarily, to increase inmate out of cell time. And the way we're going to accomplish that is to increase staffing.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ron, I want to guess the move to a motion to approve a proposed stipulated order addressing the staffing issues at Metropolitan DC. MDC. Can I have a second?
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner O'Malley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Madam Chair Barboa.
Aye, you do have a motion. Thank you. I did want to just say I want to thank our county staff for working together to bring forth ideas to address serious issues within MDC, to our legal staff, our county staff, to our MDC staff. I just want to say that I know there's folks in the public comment. We get, I hear you, I see you. The commission knows the long and often difficult hours that our staff are putting on. So we're committed to supporting staff and urgently working to change conditions. And to the people currently incarcerated at MDC and your loved ones, staffing shortages deeply impact the living conditions of incarcerated people, and the people that love them are impacted as well. I hope that I can say we are committed to addressing staffing and other issues so incarcerated people and their loved ones have access to the things they need, as well as our staff. So, thank you, and thank you for working so hard on this.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So announcement of the next, that's our last item on our agenda for this evening. Announcement of the next commission meeting is Tuesday, June 28th. No, that is wrong. Oh, is the zoning meeting. Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 is a zoning meeting, 2 p.m. at Ken Sanchez Commission Chambers. Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 will be our next zoning meeting at 3 p.m. at Ken Sanchez Chambers. And Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 will be the next administrative meeting at 5 p.m. also at Ken Sanchez Commission Chambers. If there is no other business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good evening.